So, my name's Kat, and this is my Draw for Life. It's got a little bit of a twist because it's also why I'm running my Race for Life. So, I was born in Middlesex Hospital. I was the last baby born in the actual hospital. So, after I was born, we got transferred to another hospital, but never mind. I was born on 8th of September 1986, and my mum only was given half paracetamol for pain relief. So, ouch. And I had a dad, obviously, and he had a moustache, and I had a bigger brother. Got to do it. So when my mum was younger, all she really dreamt was about having a family. So when she did have my brother and me, her life was pretty much perfect. Oh. So when I was younger, I was actually really shy and I didn't actually talk much. My brother was really chatty and he did all the talking for me. So if I ever needed anything, my brother would just tell my mum, and my mum was like, why is she so quiet? So she'd take me out in the pram and strangers would come up to me and try and talk to me, and I was like, no, not talking to you. And then my granddad, he always used to make this funny O sign to me, and I kind of thought it was hello, so I actually started doing that to strangers, which he thought was really funny. So then I had to go to nursery when I was about 4, and I was still really quiet. My brother was going to the primary school, and my mum actually warned the nursery workers that I'm going to be super quiet. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go and leave my mum. And all the kids were really chatty, and I was like, oh God. And then I made this friend, and his name's either Nigel or Kieran, and he was Cockney, and he wanted to hang out with me for some reason. And I was like, oh, we're friends. And when I got home, after a few weeks, I had a Cockney accent. I was like, what, Mum? Want some water? Can I have some bread? And then the favourite thing to do after nursery was watch The Rescuers. I would watch it over and over and over. One of my first memories is we had to climb this bloomin' great big hill to take my brother to piano lessons. I hate hills. And he would go off to his piano lessons, and me and my mum would go to this tiny little park and we'd make daisy chains. Then we had some cats when we were growing up. First we had Toby, and he looked like Felix, and my brother and I loved him. He was more Stuart's cat. And then we got Daisy, who was more my cat, and she was so pretty, and I always thought they were married, but they wasn't. We also had a snake called Bandit, who once slapped me in the face by accident when we bought him. And we also had a fish tank, and we also were fish obviously, and we had some crabs. No one knows this, or a few people do. They escaped from the fish tank and crawled all the way to my mum's bedroom, and she found them on the curtains later that day, which horrified her. So when I was younger, I was a little bit sneaky. Behind the sofa, I decided to cut all my long blonde hair off, and I literally hacked it off. Mum was not impressed. Also, we used to take vitamin C daily, and I thought they were so yummy, and I thought they were sweets. I used to eat them all the time. Mum found them, and she thought I'd overdosed on them, but the doctor just said I wouldn't get a cold for a really long time. Phew! So Mum would always be in the kitchen cooking cakes, making fudge. I remember tiptoeing onto the counter trying to see what she'd make, and she would always let me lick the spoon, and it'd be so yummy because it would always be butter icing. We always used to go on trips to Europe, and we often go camping, and we'd go off in the car. So me and my mum would be in a tent, and my brother and my dad would be in a tent. At night time, my dad would snore so loud I used to think he was a bear. Also, I used to stuff all my stuffed toys into one sleeping bag, and my mum would discover it when we were there. We also used to go on hot holidays, and our favourite destination is Tenerife. And we'd always used to go in the swimming pool, and it was so much fun. When we were both in the swimming pool, we'd always try and encourage my mum to come in too, but she was like, no, please don't splash me, I don't like it. My dad would get in too, and I'd be on his shoulders, and the family would just play together. At home, we used to dance to old records and just dance around and be silly. And once Mum used to take us to Kew Gardens on a day trip, and I saw all these giant leaves, and I was like, whoa, that's a big leaf. We also used to go to Ali Pali for ice skating. Again, we'd have to climb this massive hill, which I would absolutely hate, and I'd usually be hanging off the edge of the ice rink for ages, and my brother would be on the floor, and then eventually we'd all go around together and have lots of fun. Mum was really amazing at cake decorating. Well, she still is. And she'd make all these amazing roses and flowers, and I'd sit and watch and be like, wow. So that's obviously where I got a little bit of creativity from. Then I had to start going to big primary school, and I was still really shy, even after making my Cockney friend. And my mum would drop me off at the gates, but I'd always run back and I'd be, please don't leave me, and I'd cry. And then she'd have to walk me back to the gates and take me in. I'd eventually got the hang of it. At school, I got really arty, and I've realised that I love drawing potato men. I kind of took this skill home and decided to draw all over the walls, my potato men, and then all over our cream sofa, which had to be recovered later on. Mum decided to give me some paper, which was kind of a better idea. At Christmas, we always get so spoilt, and Mum loves giving us so many presents, and I think that's probably where I've got my generosity from, because I love giving people presents. I just love spoiling people, and we'd always used to get so shocked when we come out and see the amount of presents, and then exactly the same reaction on birthdays. Always spoilt with balloons and banners everywhere and a cake. It was so lovely. Then we both started to grow up, and we both got taller. And my mum didn't, and she was tiny. She'd always help us with revising, like when we was in secondary school. She'd ask us questions on before exams, both me and my brother, and we always used to do so much better on exams because of her. So my brother and my dad would often take trips to Europe in their mini cars, and Mum and me would be left at home, and we'd have girly evenings. We'd watch Pride and Prejudice and eat pizza and ice cream. So my mum and dad were actually amazing, because they let me draw all over my walls on my bedroom. I've still got this massive cat, this stairway into a new world, and a giant unicorn, and it was really cool that they let me do that. So after sixth form, I was still really confused with what I wanted to do. So me and my best friend Lindsay decided we should go travelling in Australia. Mum was horrified because it was on the other side of the world, but we were really excited, and I was only 19 at the time, and it was an amazing adventure. When I was out there, I got sick, and I had these really weird glands up and crazy throat infection. Mum was terrified because she was on the other side of the world. And well, basically I just had these big injections in my bottom, and then I was fine after 2 days, and Mum didn't have to come and rescue me. Phew. Mum was ridiculously happy when I got home. So when I came back from Australia, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, Mum, what should I do? And she was like, follow your dreams. And I was like, should I do art? Should I go to uni? Should I do makeup? And she's like, yeah, do makeup. I was like, should I be a tattoo artist? And she's like, let's go to Paris for art inspiration. So she took me all the way to Paris, and we met stereotypical Frenchmen. And then when I got home, I was like, Mum, can I practice some makeup on you? So I turned her into like this crazy garden witch, and I put sticks in her hair, and then I also made her into this Japanese ballerina woman, Madame Butterfly. I still loved my drawing, and I would draw portraits in my spare time, and I still ummed a nerd about drawing, but finally I was like, no, I want to do makeup. So I got a job, and I saved up for my makeup course. So after partying in Australia so much, I'd still go out with my friends and be drunk and hungover the next day, and Mum would be like, would you like a cheese sandwich, have a drink? And then sometimes I'd bring my friends back, and we'd be so hungover, and Mum would come in, and she'd want to hear all about our night. She'd want to see all the photos, and she'd make us food, and we'd always feel so much better after that and have lots of giggles with her. Often, even now, when I go out at night, I'll be dancing with all my girls. It will be like 2 a.m, and my phone will vibrate, and I'll have a text message asking if I'm okay. She's like, oh dear, where are you? Is she all right? I'll text back, and I'm like, I'm fine. But this actually still happens even during the day. I'll be at Tesco. It will be 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll have a buzz, and my mum worrying where I am because I haven't come home from work. But I think that's just the way she is, and I find it quite funny now. And sometimes when my friends come over, they don't want to see me, they just want to talk to my mum, which is fine sometimes. So a few years ago, we got given a beautiful ragdoll cat, and we called him Barley. I loved him, my mum loved him, my dad was a bit unsure, but now he loves him. Then we rescued a little stray cat called Pepper from the streets, and they kind of hate each other and love each other. So I had finally finished my makeup course. I had 2 jobs doing makeup, and I was doing freelance. So one day I came home after a shoot, and Mum was sitting on the sofa, and it was a really odd time for her to be home. And I was like, Mum, she looked really sad. And I was like, what's wrong? Have you got a headache? And then she told me she'd actually had a scan that day. And I was like, what? So then she told my brother, my dad, and they were all quite sad and worried because we didn't know what the results were going to be. Then we went along to the breast care clinic in the hospital for an appointment where Mum was going to find out the results. There was me, there was Mum, and then was Dad, all in this waiting room. And then Dad and Mum went into the waiting room, and I waited outside. And then I started looking around and started seeing all these posters, and then people were in and out, and time was sort of just passing by, and they were in there a long time. Then Mum and Dad came out, and they were chatting to these nurses, shaking hands, smiling, and I was like, oh, what is going on? And then Mum told me that she was going to have treatment, and I was like, what does this mean? I had all these questions, and I was so confused, and Mum seemed okay. And then Mum just saw like cancer word everywhere, and so did I, and now we banned the word. So then Mum had to have an operation, and that was her first step to recovery, and she was in there for about a week, and it was quite a scary time for me and the family. Mum came home, and then my dad and my brother, they redecorated her bedroom and made it all lovely, and she loved it. Then we had to start horrible treatment, which was the chemo, and I went along with her, and she demanded cups of tea and biscuits all the time. We actually managed to have a little bit of a laugh, but it was really scary. So after chemo, she ends up in bed, and I often make her breakfast and lay down next to her, and we chat and laugh as much as possible. Then Mum started receiving a florist worth of flowers. It literally engulfed her room, and there was presents and everything, and even my 3 best friends, they sent her flowers too, and my mum absolutely loved that. But then the more people that found out, the mum felt like she was more the centre of attention, and she really didn't feel comfortable. But in fact, the more people that find out is actually the bigger her support system grows. Also, when Mum received all the flowers, Barley decided, he was like, oh, tasty treat, that's for me. He tried to eat them, so then we actually had to kick him out of Mum's room because, well, he'd probably get sick if we let him eat them all. So quite often me and Mum have to go to the hospital, and I go with her, and other people from the family go, and lots of different waiting rooms and test results, and we seem to be at the hospital a lot these days. Mum's also addiction to food has grown. Her appetite is ridiculous, and if you mention food, she'll want it. If you mention a biscuit, she'll want it. And my mum's favourite thing to do at the moment is just to potter around in the garden. It's just a really normal thing to do, which I think is really important. I obviously watch her though and make sure she doesn't do too much work, but it's really nice that she can still do that. So at the moment I've become housewife, ironing, cooking. I just have no clue how my mum ever used to do so much, but I try and get other people to help out as much as possible. Mum's slightly addicted to Candy Crush at the moment. That's her sitting on the sofa playing Candy Crush, but I wondered what else could I do to help the situation, and I was like, oh, I could run Race for Life and raise money. So I went online, went on the site and thought, right, 10k. I was like, yes, I could run 10k maybe, but I'm kind of imagining myself finishing looking really glamorous after 10k, but really I'll probably be coming over the finish line at night time and everybody wondering where I am. I got the idea to do the Draw for Life from YouTube because I watched Draw My Lives, especially from Jofus, and he gave me and my boyfriend inspiration to do this video. So please guys, sponsor me. I'm running 10k, which is kind of a lot for me because I don't run very often, so I'm a little bit scared. But please, it's for a good cause, and there's people all around the world that are fighting this disease, and if there's someone not in your family, you'll always know somebody that's having to go through this. It's really important every day to laugh, and Mum, I really love you. Thank you so much for watching. Love me.